What's your regular dynamic in communication? Is it working? Are you showing up? Does your communication need a tune-up? Welcome to the Kickass Couples Podcast. This is the place where we help committed couples who want to level up their marriage experience newfound clarity, hope, and confidence. We're Matthew and Kim, co-hosts and husband and wife.
In 26 years together, we've seen a lot and never thought it could be as good as it is right now. We're here to help you successfully navigate the messy, dirty, and wonderful world of marriage.
We believe all couples deserve and are capable of experiencing an extraordinary and fulfilling marriage. And each week, we're bringing you life lessons from real-life successful couples to help you grow and strengthen your relationship.
We'll get started right after this message. If you want to learn how to experience the best, most fulfilling year of your marriage, we invite you to order Matthew's new book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. You can get it at Amazon.com or visit Matthew's website, www.matthewphoffman.com. Again, that's Amazon.com or www.matthewphoffman.com. And now, back to the show.
Get ready to kick it up a notch. Meet Julie and David Bulitt, the ultimate power couple who have been through it all. With 36 years of experience under their belts, they've tackled everything from marriage-saving strategies to navigating family dynamics. From tough love to professional help, they've got lots of tips and tricks to keep your relationship on track. Julie Bulitt is a seasoned licensed clinical social worker with over 25 years of experience. She's a rock star therapist who's worked with countless individuals, couples, and families to help them thrive. Julie's private practice is all about empowering her clients to become all they were meant to be. She's well versed in ADHD and executive functioning coaching. She is the resident therapist for Warner Brothers Discovery's DC Metro location and also a clinical supervisor for the Center for Adoption Support and Education in suburban Maryland. David Bulitt is the legal powerhouse hailing from the Washington, D.C. metro area and is the go-to divorce guru for multiple publications. He's been hailed as one of the best lawyers in America and a Washington, D.C. metro super lawyer. Don't be fooled by his cool and collected demeanor. He's been called the lawyer who epitomizes stability and old-fashioned common sense by Bethesda Magazine. But what sets David apart from the rest is his heart for families with special needs children. He knows firsthand the struggles these families face, and he's dedicated to helping them navigate the legal system with ease. When he's not taking on the toughest cases, David can be found flexing his writing chops. He's a published author of 2 fiction novels and has penned multiple articles in legal publications and even made appearances on several TV shows. This kick-ass couple couldn't be prouder of their 4 daughters and 3 grandkids. They are now sharing their secrets to success in their award-winning book, The 5 Core Conversations of Couples. Their second book, Secrets of Strong Couples, releases in the summer of 2023. Look for both Julie and David donning the stage and speaking with diverse audiences about their vast experiences as a couple that are sure to hit home with so many of you now listening. Welcome back, everybody, to the Kick-Ass Couples Podcast. I get to sit next to this hot lady next to me today, and we're bringing you a recap episode of our time with David and Julie Bulitt. And they were a lot of fun. What a cool combination, Kim, of people. He is a divorce attorney, and she is a therapist and counselor for couples, families, and people. And so what a great mix. And they also do some coaching on relationships for other people.
They do. I love their interesting dynamic and that they come at it from 2 different places. But yet at the end of the day, they are coming back together to help couples stay together, which I love.
It's a mission that we relate to and that we are on as well. And what was one of your first takeaways that you got from our time together with them?
Well, when we asked them what made them kick ass, I love their comment, which was, what makes us kick ass is we're a great team. And I think that team is important in a relationship. They work together with well together with finances, with kids, with communicating, and that all those things together make them a really kick-ass couple. So I love that response.
Yeah, they work together, and they talked about having issues early on in their marriage. I think they had a child that's autistic, and I think challenging, and they both came at that from different places, and they realized they had to come together. And I think that that really determined how they approach things, and they did it with love. And I think they've grown and learned a lot how to have that dance.
Those are the kind of things that can either make or break a relationship, right? I mean, when you start out with some really big challenges in your relationship with family members, that can be really tough. And if you do come at it from different places, you have to figure out how to navigate and communicate how you can both be on the same page. And I think they were able to do that.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, there's always going to be issues. It's not a question of if, it's really more when.
Absolutely.
And then figuring out how you're going to do the dance when there is a disagreement. Or it may not even be a disagreement, Kim. It might be just a challenge that you're facing together in the relationship. And if you come up with an effective way to put opinion aside and really work on that team, that partnership to get through it and make sure that the outcome is best for the us, you're going to keep winning. And it doesn't really matter what the challenge or opportunity is, you'll be able to come out on top on that.
Sure. What about their commitment to each other? I think that was established really early on in the relationship when Julie said, when David said he was going to do something, he did it. When, he said he was going to be somewhere at a certain time and place, he was there. And so what I heard her saying is that he really laid the foundation for the commitment in their relationship early on, and they were able to build commitment from there.
I think she said it was important to her that he wasn't playing any games, which I loved. We can sometimes, doesn't mean not having fun, but it means don't play with emotions. Don't take advantage. Don't push buttons on purpose, or unnecessarily do difficult things that could hurt the relationship. And I think one of the things I think that David said and Julie said as well is that it was important for her to know that he was there for her and that she could count on him. And then conversely, I think he said the same thing. And so I want to kind of pause on that idea for just a moment, Kim. It's presence is what they're both, I think, really talking about, right? And that knowing that your partner will be there. So I'm curious, Kim, when you think about our relationship and you look at our commitment to each other, I know you want me to be there for you. That's a given, but I'm curious, how do you look at that? In other words, what does being there for you look like to you in our relationship?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important for me to be able to communicate to you so that you know and understand what that means, right? You can guess and you can do things that you think might be important to me. But I think, first of all, it's really incumbent upon me to help you understand what being there for me looks like, right?
When it comes to creating a kick-ass marriage, do you ever wonder what you could be doing better? Have you ever thought how helpful it would be to be a part of a like-minded community of other imperfect couples who want to level up in their number one relationship? Come visit Kickass Couples Nation, where you can talk with people just like you who are looking for ways to invest in and increase their joy, commitment, and fulfillment in their most important human relationship. You'll have access to a team of licensed marriage therapists, coaches, articles, podcasts, live webinars, and more. Just visit MatthewPHoffman.com so you can learn more about a community that's ready to help you level up. That's MatthewPHoffman.com so you can become of the growing Kick-Ass Couples Nation right now.
And so it's different for everyone. For me, it is knowing that if I need you and I call you, you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to answer. If you see that I'm struggling with something, you're going to stop what you're doing and you're going to come to help and assist me. If we're having a challenge with one of our children and you see me, I'm up against a wall and I just can't push any further, then you're going to rescue me. And so I feel like for me, that's where you show up and where I need you the most.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I think I do understand that. And it's a constant, guys, it's a constant challenge to deliver that need. And so those needs change over time. Her needs might be one way today, and in a week they might be different.
So true.
Based on the situation. So we can't assume once we know them once, we're done. It's a constant dance and communication. And for me, for Kim, for me to know that she's got my back is that she knows what challenges I'm facing, and that she's supporting me, encouraging me, and building and lifting me up to know that I can be successful in the work that I'm about. And so, and I choose to communicate with her. I'll say, hey, this is really big. This is a focus. Gosh, I'm struggling. I don't have an answer here. Or I think this might be the answer. What do you think? I like having a sounding board because I'm not working in the company with a lot of individuals and a huge team. It's a tight-knit team. And sometimes I just want a different perspective. And she's got good knowledge about what I'm doing. And so she's able to give me perspective, and I appreciate it and trust it. So that's what it looks like for me. So I want to encourage everybody out there, if you don't know what your partner's needs are or how they have to have you show up for them in the moment or the season you're in right now, I encourage you to have the discussion and talk about that. David and Julie did, Kim and I do, and I hope that you all out there are having that communication regularly so that you not only you can know, but you can stand and deliver on what those needs are. It's huge.
One really cool thing that Julie and David did was they did something called pass the trash. And that was if one of them was really struggling or really having an issue, in that the other person would come and save them in that moment, right? They would come in and actually take over the situation and let that other person go rest or do what they, just regroup, do whatever they needed to do. And I love that phrase, pass the trash. And, you'll have to listen to the episode so that you can hear it in more detail. But love that they actually termed it.
Yeah, the term comes from a poker game, a card game, actually, where you pass the cards you don't like and hope to get some better ones. And I think, especially if you're a parent and you have kids, I can hear Kim working with one of our children and just butting heads, and they're screaming, and there's tension, and there's anger and frustration. And I can slide in and interject myself, A, to protect her from the child, but B, to give her a break. Or know that I'm going to do the bedtime routine that night because she's just had it up to her eyeballs. And so knowing what that is and being willing, or just say to you, I got to pass the trash, and no questions asked, your partner needs you and you step in and take over. So I think we've all done that, but, having an agreement and an understanding of what that's like is like, hey, I've reached my limit and I got to move on. So you might intuit it, but there's nothing wrong with saying, got to pass you the trash and getting out of there. So I think that was a great example. I loved it too.
Yeah. I want to hit it on a little something with regard to communication. I think we've established that they communicate well, and they've been married a really long time, and they've learned how to do that communication dance. And one of the things that I love that they said is that they have two rules that they follow, and it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And it's not what you say, it's when you say it. So how you say it and when you say it are really important.
Yeah, if you want it to be received well, it can't be accusatory, it can't be negative. So we've talked about some of our webinars, Kim, tone. Like, what's your tone? Because the tone I send it out is the tone that it's going to be received. And then timing.
Timing's everything.
You and I have different times for communicating on heavy issues. And if you're hitting me up at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, you want to have a deep discussion, I'll do my best. But it's going to be really hard for me to show up and be my best because I get up so early. I'm spent. I just don't have a lot to give at that point. And vice versa, if I hit you up early in the morning, as soon as you get up with something heavy and intense, you're not going to be ready either because you're not in the full,
I'm in a fog,
in the prime swing before coffee, right? We got to respect that, no doubt. And, it's like, what's your regular dynamic in communication? Is it working? Are you showing up? Does your communication need a tune-up? And I think really making sure, and there's nothing wrong with going to your partner saying, hey, I know you want to talk about that, but that tone just really, when I heard that tone, it made me feel this way. Or I want to talk to you about this, but this is just not the best timing.
Yeah, we have to watch the criticism. We have to watch.
It's huge. Big danger, big watch out.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that David said, he said, communication is a constant connection. between them. So if you think about a tether, when you have constant communication with your partner, that tether is really short and they're close. When you're not having the frequent communication, whether it's a phone call, a text, a conversation, a FaceTime, an email, whatever it may be, that distance goes greater and greater and greater, and then you're not close, you're not connected, you're on the same page. So my question to everybody out there listening today is, how are you filling the spaces between you? Is it intentional, or are you just letting it happen by default? If your communication is happening by default and it's not intentional, I guarantee you're leaving a whole lot of good on the table because you're not in the same proximity with your partner on a lot of things. It could be practical, functional, but certainly your intimacy in the relationship that you're building together.
Yeah. I want to move on to conflict resolution because I think they hit on something here that we have talked about before in our podcast, and they were hit with this issue, which is they got into some financial challenges, and I believe it's really because they didn't have a financial plan, and it took them a couple of years to dig themselves out of this financial situation that they put themselves in. And I think without a financial plan, we are on a very slippery slope because they got into a routine of, oh, well, you got a $50 haircut, so I'm going to go buy a brand new pair of shoes. Or, you know, you went out and spent this amount of money, so now I feel entitled to be able to go out and do the same. And so over time, that put them into a really challenging spot because they didn't have a financial plan that they were following.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be...
And that causes conflict.
Yeah, it's all about intentionality, right? You have to be intentional with everything in your relationship. And if you're not intentional and it's by accident, guarantee you there's going to be a lot more dust-ups, arguments, disagreements, and miscommunication. But when you're acting with intention and communicating, Kim and I have agreement that if we're going to spend, one of us is going to spend more than $500 on anything, it's an automatic conversation. And that's just an example on finances because neither one of us would be good about someone going out and having those kinds of decisions all the time and racking up the expenses on things we haven't agreed or certainly aware of, right? And so that's just a small example about how we are intentional. We have a budget and we look at the budget and what we're spending and where it's going to. And that just makes our relationship stronger because we're on the same page and we're showing that intention. And I think that David and Julie had a lot of intention in their communication, and it was tight and it was frequent, and it meant that they were closer together because of it.
I love that you ask them about intimacy because we don't always go there with our couples. Well, we do. We talk about intimacy and the different kinds of intimacies, but they were really open about intimacy in their relationship and how that's changed over the years. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was interesting because I kind of said, well, what do you do to keep it intimate? I mean, because they've been married 30 some odd, 5, 6, 7 years, and they've been like for a while. And I said, how do you keep the passion alive and fresh?
It's a great question.
And, you know, and David said, well, he said, you know, we've been together a lot more sexually, and meaning they're intent and focused and on purpose. And I think that he said, you know, the physical side was important to both of them, probably more important to him. And but he said that they have that connection, and that connection is a bond, one of the many ones that they share. And it was really important that, you know, one of the things that I think make your intimacy and your passion is David said, I'll do things for her that I know she likes me to do. That right there, that act of service is a way to have connection. It's a way to show your passion and love for somebody. And I guarantee you it leads to a stronger, more healthy sexual relationship. Because when you appreciate somebody and you, because they're looking out for you and they're making sure that they're doing things that for you that they know you love, then that is a demonstration of love. And so if I do that for Kim, and one of the things he talked about doing for Julie, actually, he said she loves baths, and I'll get a bath drawn for her and I'll bring her a glass of wine. That's filling her love tank. That is going to make her more inclined to be close and intimate. And when you do that, it's like, I can't wait to show this person how much I love them.
Well, they know each other's love languages, and that is
Yeah.
evident by the things that they discussed in their podcast. And so I think that that is an important thing to know, and then not just to know it, but to act on it. And that's what they do.
Yeah, I think doing the things that your partner likes means keeping the passion hot. You get enjoyment because you're doing something for them, and they get enjoyment because they know you're putting their needs first. That means they're your number one priority. How can it not help but feel good and form a passionate bond when you unequivocally know your partner is dedicated to you and doing things that they know you love?
Yeah.
That's big reassurance. And it's also nice.
Flirting. They like to flirt with each other.
No doubt.
Got to do some flirting.
Yeah, it's great to be on the receiving end. And I think
Sure.
that they certainly did a wonderful job of doing that together.
I think that, one of the things that David brought up was he sees a lot of people in his office, thousands of couples over the many years that he has been practicing. And he said, it's not so much he noticed that it is the cheating, that it is, unhappy, anger, but he said it is really what it has boiled down to. And I think Julie would agree, being a therapist and what she does in her practice, is it all comes back to communication, and it's poor communication within the 3 C's that we always refer to.
Yeah.
And so, he called it the malaise creep. And so what happens over time is that we become disconnected, and we no longer have this friendship system going with each other, which we know is so important. We've lost connection, we've lost the intimacy, and we've grown apart, which is so fixable.
Yeah. You've allowed your relationship to become transactional, which could be quid pro quo. I'll do for you if you do for me, or they're all the things that you have to do, right? He talked about earlier in our interview with him, I got to walk the dog, I got this appointment, I have that commitment, right? When we treat our partner as just another one of the things we have to check off in our list for the day, it's become transactional. So we've gone from romantic, best friend, to this is something I've got to take care of and cross off my list. Yeah. And I think that that's what he, after 30 years of being a divorce attorney, he said, that's what comes in, and it's a slow fade, right?
Yeah, it's not on purpose all the time.
No, and it's not that people are saying I want to be distant from my spouse, but they say I'm not going to give them the time that they really need, or the time I need to be close to them, because I'm going to do what's expedient,
right,
or what's efficient as opposed to what's sufficient.
Well, it all comes back to Matthew, what? Prioritization.
Yeah.
Prioritizing your spouse, which is what we're all about here at KCN.
Yeah, they do a great job of doing that as a couple. It was so fun to talk to them about that. And, it brings up the question, if you are in your relationship and you're like, you know what, you don't know how we got here, or maybe you do know how you got there, and you're not sure how to get back on track, or you want some help learning what you can do, that is the sole reason we are here. We have our bi-monthly live learning sessions with our panel of therapists. We have intensive coaching for couples and individuals. So hope you go to Matthew P. Hoffman and check us out. I would love to have a conversation with you. We have a free relationship assessment call. You can sign up for it online. You'll get right in my calendar. And I would love to have some time to get to know some other great couples and talk to you about what you can do to get back to your own relationship nirvana.
Thanks so much for listening in, everyone. And remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen.
It is on purpose.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Kickass Couples Podcast. If you like the content of this show, you'll love Matthew's newly released book, Kickass Husband, Winning at Life, Marriage, and Sex. To receive a digital mini book of quotes and images from the book, all you have to do is rate this show and leave a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in to listen. Then email us a screenshot of your review at podcast@kickasscouplespodcast.com, and we'll get it over to you right away. Until next time, remember, happily ever after doesn't just happen, it's on purpose.